Welcome, viewers. Guess what? We are at episode 27 of COVIDCASTJA.
Boy.
27, when you reach 27 are big people, you know, that's some big people. Big woman, big man.
Exactly.
Today we're going to be talking, Nevada, about building an effective sales organization. And viewers, my name is Rochelle Cameron. I'm your host for tonight, and I'm joined by Nevada Paul, who is the lead architect for the PSOJ Access to Finance project. If this is your first time joining us, or if you have not signed up at all for our memo, we're at episode 27, so you have missed 27 memos, and the memo for this evening is absolutely phenomenal. That's something that you're going to keep at your bedside table. Email us at sme@psoj.org for your weekly memo. So every week you get business tips. Email us at sme@psoj.org. And there's some more exciting things going on, Nevada. Next week, the PSOJ starts its seminar. Now, this seminar is called Unlock Success. And the seminar is focused on corporate governance. So next week, the dates are...
What that mean? What is corporate governance?
So, you know, I'm glad you asked. So, you know, as SMEs are moving, especially into this virtual environment,
Yes.
SMEs and medium enterprises start thinking about things like IPOs, initial public offerings, where they're selling out equity in their business.
Yes.
But in addition, as you are seeking to get financing for your company, one of the things that financial institutions look at is whether or not you have good systems in place. Do you have a board of directors? Do you hold board meetings? Do you have certain policies in place?
So don't just take the money out of the business and I buy the girlfriend rent and them things.
You know, step on people can. So this is about businesses putting themselves in a position that they're able to always move to the next level.
Excellent.
And you know, sometimes too, another business may be looking to buy your business, you know, because that is also a very good thing. When you have a good business, other people want a part of that business.
Yeah.
So this seminar is over 3 days: Tuesday, October 13th, Thursday, October 15th, and Tuesday, October 20th. I have the pleasure of hosting, and we're going to have people like Greta Bowles, who is the chairperson of the PSOJ Corporate Governance Committee, Camille Facey, an attorney at law and a corporate governance madam. Attorney at law from Myers, Fletcher and Gordon, David Hall, managing director of DC Consultants and Associates. So you're going to have a blend of lawyers, business people, auditors, persons who can help you to pull your business together. And the best thing about it is that it is online and you get certification. The entire investment, and we call this an investment, if you're a member of the PSOJ, it is $16,000. If you are a non-member, it's $18,000. And remember, you do get certification. But because we're the PSOJ and we're family here, I'm glad you joined from early, because guess what? We are giving away 5 spaces today. So you're going to have to stick with the show. 1. 2, we're looking for insightful comments for people who are paying attention to what is going on, and we want to hear your comments, and we need to see your comments. And we're going to just give you a few questions too, because we want to spice it up. So we're giving away 5 spaces for this absolutely phenomenal seminar. Whether or not you are from Jamaica, this is a seminar that goes across jurisdictions. So this is a can't miss event. So Nevada.
Yes.
Looking at corporate governance with the PSOJ, but today we're talking about the effective sales organization.
Absolutely.
Talk about on this show is cash is king. Cash flow runs the world.
Especially now.
No cash flow if you're not selling.
That's right.
A lot of business people are wondering, how do I move now from, remember we jump in the car, we run to the people in place, we go to the meeting, and we're doing it virtually.
Yes, we have to be selling very differently now. Yes.
Very differently. No. So all of the things that we would have learned and the different seminars, we have to be applying those learnings in a very different way.
Yes.
So let's talk about it. What are your initial thoughts about this building an effective sales organization?
So what has to happen is I always think it's best to recognize first. I don't want to call it the personal assessment of our sales effort as a company or my individual sales effort. So the first thing I want to make sure is I do some kind of forecasting, right? And whether it's over the course of a year, I usually say 6 months is better. So what am I expected to try and sell in the first 6 months? And then once I've identified that it's X amount I'm trying to sell, I need to identify the valuable targets. So in the context of, I'm trying to sell, $200,000, $1 million, whatever, over the 6 month period. And here is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to sell 10 people $100,000 each, or I'm going to sell 20 people $50,000 each. So identify as specifically as possible how you're going to realize those sales, identify the valuable targets that'll get you there. What I find often, we waste a lot of time. So we're trying to sell somebody who actually don't have any money and certainly can't pay our price point or is not that interested in our product. So just be wary that your time trying to sell should be with identifiable targets. Now, the second issue is once you have identified good targets, the issue is about how do you get introduced?
Just take me back to targets. Because sometimes we say this, because you say target, I'm going to think about the store immediately.
Okay.
Who are our targets?
All right, so identify that. So for example, if I let's say I sell termite. I do people's house for termite, right? That's my business. I'm a termite killer, right? Termite control. So very valuable to me, for example, is places with lots of buildings in it, right? In an area that, especially if a high price termite thing, in an area where the people are like to be able to afford my price point. So I'm going to target in, whether through mail or social media or whatever it is, areas with a lot of buildings where likely to have issues, et cetera, et cetera. So by target, I mean, who are you going after? Or, in my case, I sell consulting services, but you sell it for a reasonable price. And therefore, what kind of companies, either locally or abroad, can pay your price. You don't sort of necessarily waste the time with the people who can't necessarily pay your price. So you just think very deliberate about what is it you're selling, what's the price point you're trying to achieve, and is it worth your time going after these particular targets, whoever they are?
Okay.
The next thing is around getting introduced. Now, there are those who are lucky enough to have grown up with, so that's the second thing, getting introduced. There are those who grow up knowing everybody and can call uncle this, uncle that, whatever. And they have an easier time of it, at least for the first introduction. Sometimes they don't work out further than that. So I switch the thing to getting introduced. And then you have a situation now where say you're aren't that connected through your high school thing, whatever it is. Then you have to be clever. And some of the best salespeople, you do the research on the people that you're trying to get into, and you figure out where are your possible links. I've been in situations, for example, and I always think how very clever. Someone will walk up to me and will say to me, I'll be sitting at a restaurant, "You're Sheldon's brother, aren't you?" And I say, "Yeah." And they say, "Boy, somebody I really admire, And I say, "Really? Oh, that's fantastic." No, they have engaged me. First of all, they never say that they know Sheldon. That's not what they're trying to do. They've created a link through probably some research that they've done, and then identified me, and I begin to have the hook because now I'm quite open because you've identified yourself as somebody who knows something about me, my family, whatever it is, right? And that then in that introduction allows you to have a further conversation. So that almost as a natural thing because, I don't know you. Hey, how are you doing, Rochelle? And at some point I ask, or you can say, I say, "Rochelle, what you doing? What you do?" So it creates that introduction that you may not have had before, but suddenly you get an opportunity to explain who you are and what it is that you might be doing. So getting introduced, either you have contacts, but don't worry if you don't have contacts. You think very deliberate about what links you have. The links could be through church. The links obviously could be through your job. And I always say this, everybody have a brother, everybody have a sister, everybody have a cousin. So even whoever you meet at the bar, at the whatever it is, there is a potential, if not directly with them, for sales opportunities, certainly with somebody that they know.
But also, Nevada, you mentioned, so the example you use, you said you're at a restaurant. And sometimes we're sitting down and we're having a meal and somebody come over and say, you're Sheldon's brother. And we're not necessarily engaged at the time. And you're looking at the person like, see me I eat. But you have a product that you're selling. So whether or not you're in the supermarket, you're at church, you're in a restaurant, you always need to be engaged because that could be the next opportunity.
Exactly. And you don't worry so much about offending me, because that's the other thing. You can't be too fraidy. Even if you don't want to offend so much that I run away, but a slight offense is okay. Because very often if somebody go a little further, you're like, okay, let me hear you. So just be aware and conscious. And again, I don't want to say you cause a big old thing, but you say you try your thing, right? So then there's the issue of preparing and presentation and creating the hook. So now you get the meeting. And what I find, first of all, you always have to be prepared for the meeting. First of all, in that introduction with me, where you first meet me, that might be the opportunity, because maybe I'm meeting alone. And I say, all right, come tell me about it now. And you do not want to be in a situation where you're then saying, oh, well, I was hoping to set up a meeting to prepare. No, it should be already in your head. You're ready with a 3 piece of paper on your computer. Whatever it is, you already know, right? Because you don't know when the meeting is going to start. But say you've had some time to prepare, right? So I didn't have it right away. Do the Google research on the company. Find out what is valuable to them. Give them some insight about their own business that they may not know. For example, you can check, again, you can check and tell somebody, you have more traffic at lunchtime than somebody else. You have more you can do some little bit of research, something that they may not even know. And that creates a hook in the meeting. And we
actually have Beverley Thompson on today, and Beverly is going to get in depth into that preparation and presentation. So please make sure those notebooks are out, because tonight is full of information.
Absolutely. And then the whole issue of what your value proposition, and value proposition means, why is it you'll buy whatever it is that you're buying from me versus from a competitor? That also must be clearly articulated in the right. And when you're giving the presentation, watch the room. Watch the room for interest. And what I always tell people, you must have 2 versions of your presentation, right? The elevator speech, because you come scheduled for a meeting that's supposed to start at 4. Everybody was late for the meeting, and the meeting started at 4:45, and they tell you now only have 15 minutes of what was an hour meeting. And you're flustered because you had expected an hour meeting. But guess what? You have 15 minutes now. So have your 15-minute presentation ready, as well as your hour presentation. So whatever game can play, you ready to play it, right? Sales is about making sure you take the whatever opportunity is available. Presentation, right? Typically, 4, addressing client concerns. Typically, some issues get raised in the meeting. Could be pricing, could be quality, could be comparison, could be whatever, and make sure you address it. Best if you're able to just address it in the meeting, but if not, make sure right afterwards you are able to send a memo, send an email, make a call to whatever the issue is. So you're in the meeting and you said this, and you say, and they tell you, but that's all much more expensive than John Brown business, or that, I hear John Brown is really the best. And you get flustered because John Brown is a bigger brand, is a bigger thing. You don't know exactly what to answer. And then you go back in your prayer and say, John Brown may be bigger, but he cannot give the personalized service that I'm able to give. Here are some comments from some clients who are very pleased with my work, even though I'm a tenth the size of John Brown's business. And here are their numbers and their thing for you to be able to do. So be fast with the follow-up, be focused, and make sure it happens, right?
So quick question. The clients say, you price it though.
Yes. So here's the thing. And one of the things that happened in Jamaica is that we are obsessed with price, both assuming that that is only price that we can compete on. So on. And very often, the best thing to do is actually not to lower your price, but to give additional things. Why you give it additional things that allow you to maintain a certain price point? But all you're doing is every time I say boo, you lower your price. I know that all you have to offer is the cheap price. And at some point, when you keep lowering the price, I say, oh, but you don't really offer anything because you're willing to give this thing away for basically nothing. And the quality perception of your thing also goes down. You cannot go into BMW and tell them, say, well, that the price too expensive. They will say to you, don't bother coming to BMW, move right along, right? So recognize that price is not your only criteria. And sometimes if you move too quick with the price, so I find, boy, that's so expensive, Yes, we are expensive, but it's because of the quality of the thing that we're offering.
Exactly.
And here is how we are different than everybody else. But I said, why expensive? No. And he said, oh, so what do you think you can give me? Blah, blah, blah. Right? Your business is staying in the poorhouse. You are not going to be making the kind of money that you should be making, right? So have confidence in your value proposition, which is the price you're selling the thing for and what you're offering, right? And you can add things to it to say, you know what, I'll give you an extra cleaning, I'll do an extra this, I'll spend a little extra time doing this, I'll add a module to the work, whatever it is, but be loath to start by lowering your price, especially if the person just got boo. Boo is not sufficient to start lower your price.
Exactly.
Right? Then this issue of closing the sale. Here is the complicated part. Very oftentimes the meeting goes well, and then there's that period. It's almost like a different skill set. We have to lock in the thing. You have to be consistent. You have to be slightly pushy. You have to see what the concerns are and keep following up fast. And I find that a lot of people drop the ball in this period. Meeting go well. The people them say, oh, we'll get back to you. And you don't get back to them. You wait for them to get back to you. It is that time, especially if the meeting has gone well, you have to up your sales game. You have to be calling. You have to be sending references. You have to do additional things. You have to all kinds of ways in which you start to just take what is an initial decision in their mind and to take it towards the close.
The close, yeah.
Sometimes what I have done, by the way, when I see the person's excited and maybe they're haggling over the price, etc., I say, you know what? Let me just work for you for free for 2 weeks. If after the 2 weeks, you're happy with the services, then we go forward. If not, you get 2 weeks of free consulting from me. Boom. I have never worked for anybody for 2 weeks that it doesn't turn into a consulting contract. So I take away the risk. I said, Lord, you're expensive. I said, fine. Let's just try. Maybe I'm not right for you. And no fail, no power. Right? And I also tell them what I'll deliver in the 2 weeks, right? Really something valuable to them so they won't think it's valuable. And then you know, move on. So that issue about closing the sale and doing the thing, it's sort of part of the thing. So being responsive, being firm.
People, you know, sometimes we have a thing, you know, because the business is so personal to us. When you don't hear back from people, you say, I'm not run down nobody, you know, I'm not run them down. Run them down.
What a ridiculous thing. Run them down. I'm money I defend. I'm money I defend.
Exactly.
Run them down. Yes. Yes. Make them tell you stop calling me. Right? Yeah. You know what? You don't self-censor. I'm money where I defend. Right?
Exactly.
Exactly. Then there's the issue of payment, which is always, again, controversial and getting on-time payments, etc. You know, my friend, Colin Hilton, who does weddings. And it's always a thing, because Colin, when he did the wedding and the wedding cake's supposed to deliver on the day and the money don't, he have the truck outside with the catering and the cake. And if the money not there, he might take home the cake. What that is that he recognizes at a particular point where you have power to collect the money. After the cake, after everybody gone on honeymoon, and after everybody broke, you can't get paid for the cake. So recognize in your sales process when it is critical to collect a certain amount of money. And I can't say you can't collect some money after the project is over, but make sure what is left after it's over, you can live without. You already make some profit.
Yes.
So your deposit, the combination of your deposit and whatever it is that you're paid before delivery of whatever service must already cover your costs and give you some profit. Then if for whatever reason that you're not getting the money at the end, I didn't take it 1 year to pay, you're still okay because you made money. The mistake that we make in terms of payment is that we wait and then deliver the goods, deliver the cake, and then we are batter. Hey, what about the money for the cake? What about the money for the cake? You know, too late. Be clear about when the payment happens and do it at the point at which you are most likely to get the money.
Yes.
Okay. Then the issue of following up additional sales. I find that when we get the contract, we think sales is over, but it's not, because there is renewals, there is referrals, and there is holding on to your business because somebody else is going to be trying to muscle in on your business. So stay with service after you've sold. Rochelle, I just sold you this thing, 3 weeks into it, a month into it, whatever it is. Checking in. How is it going, Rochelle? It working? What not working? Let me know. Oh, by the way, if you're happy, you have nobody you know that you're gonna refer me to, like you like the service that much, and you continue the sales process. Give you another simple example. There was another, the only thing, because termites is on my mind, right? In my building, somebody sticks under the door, right? I just did like your neighbor across your neighbor, whatever, Rochelle apartment above you or Rochelle apartment below you.
Yeah.
Termite. And therefore, if you're interested, blah, 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 give her a call to see if she was happy with the service. Again, using the opportunity that you're in an apartment building, you have serviced somebody with a name. You should not be leaving that apartment building until every striking house in that building have your thing on it with a thing that's there.
And worse, before might them run gone to your place now, so you really need the service. Yeah,
exactly. But that whole idea of you who's happy with my business is renewal business. I should be doing your termite thing next year, and referral business. Anybody you know, you should be recommending me, and nobody should be able to muscle in because we have a deal. So that's a follow-up of the additional sale. And last, as I said, is referrals and renewals. Referrals and renewals. So that's that whole issue. So just in summary, very quickly, you assess your challenges in the sales process, and then you identify where you're able to go. So there's forecasting and identifying valuable targets, getting yourself introduced to the right people who can buy your product or service, preparation and presentation. Make sure you have a hook. Why you versus anybody else? Address the client concerns. Be focused. Be quick. Closing the sale. Make sure you stay on top of it, especially if the first presentation went well. On-time payments. Design your payments for when you have most power. Don't wait after people eat up the cake and then not pay you for the cake, right? Follow up, additional sales. Keep on top of them so nobody muscles in on your business. And then, of course, referrals and renewals are crucial to extending your sales process.
Okay, Nevada, thank you very much. So, audience, we would have just heard from Nevada Paul, who is the lead architect of the PSOJ SME project. And Nevada went through some of the key challenges in the sales process and how do you actually move from target to collection of money to, very importantly, because after we collect the money, we forget about it, that additional business and continuing the business. So Nevada, I know you're going to be in the green room because you'll probably come back on a little bit later for us to have a wrap-up chat.
No problem.
Tonight we are also joined by two exceptional sales professionals. One is Beverley Thompson. Beverly's going to join us shortly. But I see a question from Mubarak Saeed, and I may have pronounced your name incorrectly, forgive me. You asked, what is a standard marketing budget percentage for a specific sales target or goal? And guess what? We have Zachary Harding, who is Executive Chairman of Delta Capital Partners and Group CEO of Stocks and Securities, who is known as one of our marketing and sales gurus. So I'm going to leave that question for him. So we'll get back to that question. And as I had mentioned earlier, we are giving away 5 spots to the PSOJ's very intense seminar on corporate governance, unlocking the success of your business by putting in the proper policies and procedures, ensuring you have a good board, an active board, ensuring that you're in a position for financing for your business to possibly be bought out and you end up making multiples of your investment. For medium enterprises, you may want to have an IPO for the business. When you are thinking about that next stage of your business, corporate governance is essential to unlocking the success. And I actually see Jayshri Nagrani, who says, can I get a space for arriving on time? And because you put that out there, you get in a space for being on time. So we've given away the first of our 5 spots. We're looking for your comments. We're looking for your participation tonight. And I'm going to ask for the first person who can name 3 of the key processes in the sales challenge process that Nevada set out. He went through them and we listed them. There are about 7 of them. So if you can name 3, just put it right there in the chat. Jayshri, if you can just drop your email in the comments and we will get to you with your space. I see Zachary commenting. Zachary, you know that I would have had to to leave that one to you. But let me tell you now, brace yourself for the CEO and award-winning sales trainer and strategist of Hulaine Strategic Services, a lady called Beverley Thompson. In 2016, she started this consulting practice, and she's passionate about helping SMEs and large enterprises transform sales culture, strategy, processes, and competencies. She incorporated learnings, and Beverly has worked across industries. So there is quite a bit of learning, and she has been a senior sales executive sitting at those big boardroom tables, several businesses, working with business to consumer, business to business. And now she has started her consulting firm, which is to help SMEs get to that level. And let me tell you, Beverly is passionate about you and your sales process. So Beverly.
Yes, Rochelle.
I'm very energized by your presence. And Beverly,
Thank you.
today I know you're going to be talking to us about, Nevada mentioned the presentation. And I know in this time of COVID, you know, when we could have just up in our high heel shoes and them tight pants and them new suit and thing and gone to the meeting and we're impressed with the PowerPoint and thing. And now we have to be doing the things online. So the whole sales process has changed dramatically on us over the last few months. And we're going to take us through that. So we're going to start with us tonight. What are your initial thoughts?
Where would you like to start? So let me start by kind of putting some perspective around sales. So what has happened is that the sales process had long been changing. It was changing already because when digital entered, the traditional blended with the digital. And so because the customer has always been on a new journey. And so the old pipeline, the old funnel as we knew it, where everybody just bundle up at the top and you sieve them through like a strainer, that has changed because people are doing their research, they're engaging with content marketing, going on a website. And so the funnel is not what it used to be. And so field sales people, we were still engaging from that traditional perspective while our customers were researching online and already educated to some extent before they contacted us. What has happened? COVID is here and it has amplified the entire situation.
Yeah. So Beverly, now when you are an SME, COVID has happened. We are not able to move around the way we used to. We had a set of customers. We recognize now that we actually need to be filling out that funnel because things are drying up. And I know one of the things that we are always a little nervous about too as Caribbean people, making that first call, that cold call. Can you talk to us a little bit about making that first reach out to the customer?
So first of all, making that, if you can avoid cold calls, do that if you can. Yes, I would probably give Nevada that job. He did a pretty good job. So if you can convert cold calls to what we call warm leads, it is better for you through referrals, through connection, network, LinkedIn, etc. Use that. However, if you must do cold calls, and it still works today, by the way, it does work.
I got one today for something I didn't even realize I needed.
It does work. But what you need to do is do some research. It's never, ever just a list. And what you find is that salespeople have a list of people they're going to call or a list of business they're going to call. It's never just a list. Who is on that list? Why are you calling those people? What are their similar pain points? What are their challenges or their issues? Research that, get to know that. So when you're making that first cold call, the first thing that should be coming out of you is something that gets me alerted, something that I am familiar with, something I know about. And so it earns you the right to continue to talk to that person within that conversation. So just calling and saying, my name is Beverly Thompson, I'm calling from Pest Control Company, isn't going to work.
Yes.
Right. But if you call and say, as Nevada say, I am Beverley Thompson, I'm calling from pest control company, and I know that many houses in this area has been affected by termites. We've worked with them. It takes a couple of weeks. This is the result they've had. And we looked at your house.
Conversation.
We looked at your house and we wondered if you would want us to assess it for you.
Yes. So Beverly, you know, we talked about what we were able to do. You know, there was always that thing about how salespeople should fix themselves up, how they present themselves, how they do presentations. But all of this was predicated on face-to-face.
Yes.
And now the meetings are different. The meetings have to be via Zoom call or whatever platform the customer is on.
Yes.
Now, let's talk about if you are going to be delivering a sales presentation, how are you going to deliver a winning sales presentation in this environment?
Well, first of all, we cannot switch face-to-face to virtual. Let's get that clear. We need to be ready for virtual. We need to show up in the same way that we show up in face-to-face. Fix up yourself, feel confident, put on your best clothes, make sure you put on, woman, makeup, men, put on your tie, look good, lighting, camera, action. Make sure that you are ready to engage. Look in the camera, because in the face-to-face world, what you would have been doing is shaking hands and saying hello and body language, etc. In this world, all I'm seeing right now is your face. Now, how do I connect with you? You need to be relatable. Stories give relativity. For you to connect, you enter the room, meaning that people are sitting in their homes and you are the person addressing a team of 10 people, 5 people, 6 people. Start the meeting with something that is relatable. Everybody in that room is going through some kind of COVID situation. Homeschool, work from home, members of the family, maybe challenged, you have elderly, something. Find something that is common and relate to everybody in the room and tell your own story. I've been doing that since last week. Everybody I meet online, I tell my own story, because we have to be human. We're not just selling products. We are selling ourselves as humans, and we need to connect when we enter into that room to make our sales presentation. So that's the first part. You would have done your research, I'm sure.
Well, we're assuming you would have done your research.
Well,
but
yes,
we're certain what is, because you know, sometimes we in this time now we make some assumptions of what people know. Yes. And sometimes we don't have all of the aspects to it. So in that preparatory work with our research, what are some of the things we should be focused in on?
So we need to be focused on, first of all, why is it that this company has invited you to speak to them? Or why is it that you have solicited the opportunity to speak to them? That's important, because there are certain factors for every purchase decision or what you explore to buy. There's a motivation for doing that. And either you have your own motivation as I research and find out what those are likely to be. If I do not have the information, what I can do is look at similar companies in your sector or in your industry and see what they are going through and what are some of the potential challenges that they have. It may not be challenges at all. It could be missed opportunities that they are not seeking or going after. And so you could do your research and find out what those factors could be. And when you get into that space, what you need to be doing is addressing those situations with your presentation. It can't be a product dump or just about your product. It's those parts of your product that will solve my problem or create the opportunity for me to expand my business or scale or whatever. I must see myself in it. It's what's in it for me. And so if you're having a presentation, you are the only person speaking for 20 minutes and not engaging, and it has nothing to do with me, although it could be a product that solves my issue, then I'm going to be disengaged.
Yeah. And you know, Beverly, as you're speaking, I'm seeing some of our SMEs are saying, but you know, the product I sell, how likely is it for me to ever have to do a Zoom meeting? You know what I have learned since March? that everything that we've seen as unlikely in this lifetime is now likely.
Yes.
So the way people engaged in the past, that's not happening anymore.
Yes.
Everybody is engaging in a different way. They're using the online platforms.
Yeah.
And many times you have the edge when you're able to say, can I tell you about my product? Christmas is coming. You may be doing packages for Christmas, and you want to get into some of the corporate offices. They expect that you're able to give them a winning presentation. But as you say, you can't just be saying, look at my product. It is very pretty. It is like me.
No, nice and pretty don't work.
Exactly. Nice and pretty don't work. Nice, pretty, and interesting don't work.
Right. Don't work. It's value.
Them how this is going to make a difference when you give this as a gift to your customers.
Yes.
So this whole getting used to all of them new platform here, because you have Cisco, you have Teams, you have Zoom. Is there some preparatory work? How do I know which platform? Do I suggest a platform or do I use the platform? Because I know sometimes you're wondering, can I suggest Zoom or should I ask you which one you use?
So it depends. It depends. I find, for example, in the financial sector, sometimes they are a lot more reserved and cautious than many other companies, and they tend to rely on what it is that they use. And so you should kind of bridge that gap and be open and be flexible and be able to adapt. Because if you're talking to, for example, a financial institution and they insist for their own security purposes or regulatory environment that you use their platform, then you need to get used to it. So before the presentation, prepare yourself. There is somebody in that place that will help you. Which platform do you use? Probably do some practice with someone. What are the features? How do I share my screen? How do I use the chat? Can I do polls? Is it able to do some of those things? And so you get comfortable with the platform before you engage the customer on theirs, which they are accustomed to.
Okay. So we know that body language too, because, you know, as you're talking about platforms, I'm saying to myself, and I see Craig Paul saying, also look at people's facial cues. So, you know, when you're in a room, you can pick up people's energy in a room. From you walk into the room, you can pick up people's energy. When you're on an online platform, you have to pick up energy in a different way.
Yes.
What are some of the things? How do you use now this virtual environment to pick up the vibe and the energy? And if you're landing, how do you do that?
So you need to design from the start an engaging presentation. In face-to-face, you would have been standing in front of people and they can see every part of you, whether you smile or you shake. In this world, you have to create it. So the platforms have different features. During the presentation, build in the presentation some questions you would like to ask, some very insightful questions, and to get people's feedback. One, you can test whether or not they're listening to you. You can also ask questions for further clarity in terms of what they see success looking like for them. You can ask questions to get further clarity on what is a pain point for them. So you can ask those questions in chat. You can also, Zoom is beautiful for polls. Create some insightful questions that you know the answer to those questions already. It could be you know those answers, but you just want to test. You want to find out what is their perspective in terms of answering those questions. And you do 2 or 3 of them throughout. You also send an agenda. So on the agenda, you're putting that we are going to be engaging you throughout this presentation. And so it removes the situation where you have to do all the talking and it get boring. You could also introduce an icebreaker using their product. If it's a physical product, you could introduce an icebreaker using their own product. So what you're looking for is using the tools and the features to get people involved, using their fingers to type. They can vote. They can share screen, share their own screen. You can do different things. I've been doing it and it has worked.
Okay. So I see Jana Patterson saying sales is really about building a relationship, being genuinely interested in solving an issue for your client. And I like this particular comment because from what Nevada started with, and even as you set out, everything is about your audience, about building the relationship, about a connection with your sales target and maintaining that connection. And I know this is a part of the sales that you are very passionate about. And I just want you to share with our viewers, when you are building your sales team, your sales organization, and you're pushing that sales organization, what are some of the key things that you need to be building and inculcating in your team members for that relationship building?
Okay, so first of all, you should really look at opening up relationships when you are engaging with people first. Open those relationships. A good salesperson knows that there's no selling without customer experience. And I say experience and not service, because you have to think about the entire journey, the entire experiences of your customer, and how you want them to feel, what you want them to be left with. And so connecting with people at an emotional level is important, because people are making decisions with money, with strategic plans, with forecast, with P&L, and different kinds of business issues. But it is a human being that is making a decision to purchase something from you. And so people have different interests apart from work. People have kids that go to school. Mm-hmm. People have needs. People go to church. People connect with different groups. People travel when we can travel again. They're a part of different associations. And so people have a life outside of the business that you're trying to sell to. So connect with them, support them, because people share those things with you. So you don't only have to sell your product. I remember someone telling me about a popular vacation spot in Florida, and I took it up because I desperately wanted a holiday some time ago, and I was tired. And I went back to this place over and over again because the salesperson just recommended it. So look at a fulsome relationship, not just wanting to sell your product, because people want to be successful in all spheres of their lives.
Yes. And Beverly, you were mentioning polls, because so we have to have polls too. So yes. We have a poll. How far ahead does your company plan their sales forecast? 59% of our respondents said 6 months. 24% of our respondents say 3 months. None of our respondents said 1 month or less, and 17% said no sales forecast. So we had 59% saying 6 months for their sales forecast. In this kind of COVID time, how do you see sales forecasting? Because I know a lot of businesses now are doing shorter runs with planning. How do you see the sales forecasting process in these very unprecedented and uncertain times?
Well, first of all, you need to be very nimble. So I would agree with the 60% of the persons who say they look at 6 months or less. Certainly, before COVID, it was a year. Now it is about 6 months. Now you have to be nimble. So you have your 6 months, but you really have to be managing week by week. You have to sit on top of it. You cannot let go of it. You have to ensure that your process is tight and supported with technology. You have to ensure that your sales rep are following up, that you're peeling for opportunities, of course, probably in the segments where opportunities exist. So you have to be following up. You have to be on it. You have to measure. You have to look at all the activities that you're engaged in and whether or not it is realizing the benefits in terms of the closed sale. You have to be ready to adapt and change, because some things you may have forecasted probably isn't working that way. And so you really have to be looking at the steps. You have to be managing by objectives, by your key result areas. What are those? And keep it very tight and be very flexible and be prepared for the unexpected and make sure you have plan B.
Okay. So we can't wrap up tonight without talking a little bit about social media.
Oh, yes.
How do we use our social media platforms now as a sales tool? How do we effectively use them as a sales tool?
Okay, so the social media platforms, what it has done is bring our customers much closer to us. In that space, we talk about know, like, trust, try, buy, repeat, and that's a digital sales cycle. So what social media does is gives us
Hold on, say that again. It might be a question. What's that social media cycle?
So in the digital space, the sales process is a little bit different. If you're going straight digital, for example. So you have know, like, trust, try, buy, repeat, and you refer. And so social media takes you closer to your customer. You can engage one-on-one. You can, for example, double down and be very, very detailed about what you call your avatar, your ideal target customer. Who is that customer that when you meet them, them say, yes, I want it now. And in the social media space, you are able to create ads, for example. On Facebook, for example, you can target every married person at 36 years old with 2 children who works in a financial institution. It takes you that close. And so you are able to engage a group of people. It is actually more efficient. If you do it right, it's more effective because you do not need one salesperson to be trying to talk to 20, 30 people. Your social media activities will catapult you to 500,000 people, 200,000 people, 100 people all at once with the right message, the right kind of engagement, understanding who your avatar is, following up, make sure you have automations and integration. So when somebody says, I am interested, it is quick, it is efficient, and we're not waiting to hear from you.
Okay. Wow, Beverly, you have given us so much tonight. Beverly, I know that you not only offer consulting services, but you are a master sales trainer. And for the persons who are like, I need to contact Beverly, where do people find you, Beverly?
Well, find me at hulaine.com, HULAINE.com. That's our website. You find us on Instagram and on Facebook, Hulaine Strategic Services. And I can give you my contact number. It's 876-220-1000. And we have some courses coming up. We also have a free webinar that we've been doing, and one is coming up in October.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Beverly. And Beverly has provided much of this information in our weekly memo. So email us at sme@psoj.org. Thanks a lot, Beverly. So just to let you know, we did have a competition going. And let me just scroll down to see who could respond first. Do I have the right person first? My producers. I asked the question, what are some of the points that Nevada raised as the sales challenge? And I see Tasha saying the presentation, on-time payments, and closing the sale. Tasha's responses were Mag's responses were in first. No, but look here, is Randy Mack. I love my viewers. Randy Mack was in first, addressing client concerns, closing the sale, and on-time payments. So Randy, you get a prize. And I see Kevin Fairman was very engaged too. And Kevin, actually, is me do this wrong? Kevin came in first. But Tasha Smith, Tasha has been extremely engaged, and Tasha has been providing us some great commentary. I see Tasha here talking about canceling the notion of the cold call, that the customer lifetime value is critical, and this is why the relationship is important. So we've given away 4 of the positions so far. 1 to Tasha Smith, 1 to Jay Cherie, 1 to Randy Mack. Producers, I hope you're getting these names. and Kenny Fairman. If you're unable to attend, please just let us know. But if you could just drop your email in the comments so that we can get in touch with you and you can be a part of this 3-day Unlock Success seminar that's being hosted by the PSOJ, and you're getting certification. This is very exciting. And I see Max Blake Max, you are early in the answers. Max, I'm coming back to you because guess what, people? The next question is an easy one. 3 points in the digital sales cycle. 3 points in the digital sales cycle. Our next guest is a gentleman called Zachary Harding, but I think ahead of Zachary, we are going to look at a short video.
So you have a great idea to start a business, but you don't know where to start. We completely understand. You have a lot of questions and almost no answers. Smallbusinessportal.com is here to help. At smallbusinessportal.com, you gain access to information on loans, grants, and investment opportunities from verified financial institutions. Guess what you also get? Useful business tips, access to training. All these services combine to make your business idea into a reality. Start your journey today at smallbusinessportal.com.
So please start your journey today. Visit smallbusinessportal.com. Smallbusinessportal.com is where we put together all of those business tips. You can find all of our memos are actually all available on smallbusinessportal.com. I am sure it's going to be one of your favorites in your tabs because this is going to be a very useful mechanism for you to take your business to the next level. At this time, we're going to welcome Zachary Harding. Zachary is Executive Chairman of Delta Capital Partners and Group CEO of Stocks and Securities Limited. Prior to taking the helm at SSL, he was founder and chairman of Hyperion Equity, a private investment firm with holdings in technology, cutting-edge entertainment, and infrastructure ventures. Over the years, Mr. Harding, Zachary, has developed a stellar track record for himself while in senior positions including CEO, Head of Strategy, and Director of Marketing among leadership positions that he has held. He's worked with companies like Appliance Traders, with Cinco, Red Stripe, Diageo, and Grace Kennedy Remittance Services. Now, one of the things is that he has been called names like the Rainmaker and the Marketing Guru. And he was named one of the top 50 under 50 business leaders shaping Jamaica's future by the PSOJ and the Jamaica Gleaner. With his innovative mind and strategic acumen, he has been selected as a special advisor to the Minister of Tourism and Deputy Director at the Jamaica Tourist Board. And he has also been appointed as the Government of Jamaica representative on the Board of Caribbean Airlines Limited. Yeah, if you wonder how Zachary finds so much time. And with all of that, he has agreed to be with us today. Hi, Zach. How are you?
Hey, Rochelle. I'm great.
Yeah, you hear me? I call him Zach because I want to show some I know him.
From a long time.
Zachary, now, today you kind of give us an opportunity to have that conversation that bridges sales and marketing, but also very importantly, because you have been a leader in organizations over several years, you're also able to give our viewers a bit of insight on building that winning sales organization, that winning sales team. So the first question I have to ask, one of the things I have heard you say in the past is that you can start, say from pretty early, whether or not a person can be a part of a winning sales team. Yes. What does that winning sales team look like?
All right. So first of all, it's a pleasure being here. It's always good to spend time with you, Rochelle, and special big up to PSOJ for hosting these type of events. Somebody from my office said that because I DJ every Friday night, I have to start with some sort of an intro. So they asked me to play this intro.
Jamaica's one and only Jamaica's one and only CEO DJ.
All right.
That's why they call it the marketing guru.
But that's how to get that out of the way. We're having fun. All right. So the reason why I did that is because you have to have fun. All right. Sometimes people take things way, way, way too seriously. All right. Selling. First of all, I don't really believe in selling. I know that's a bit contradictory to the whole objective of this session, but I don't think you can sell somebody on something, right? To me, what happens is that you build a relationship with somebody, you establish a level of trust, and based on that level of trust, somebody is now willing to take a risk or take a chance. They're willing to go into their pocket, take out their hard-earned money, and give it to you in exchange for something. That is an exchange of trust. It's not a sale in my price. Selling is you got into a shop and you buy something that's on a counter and it has a price tag on it and it says marked down by 10%. That's a sale, right? So you have to, in banking, they talk about know your customer, KYC, right? When you're trying to sell something to somebody, you really have to know who that person is.
Yes. Because
if Rochelle just does not like exercising and I'm trying to sell her an exercise bicycle, what's the point? There's no point. You're just not going to buy the exercise bike. I could probably be giving it away to you for free. If there's no need or no benefit for you to have it, then I'm wasting my time.
Exactly.
So you have to understand who the target person is. Big up Nick Mack on the live always. You have to understand who the target person is and really get to know what they want. So Beverly used a famous acronym earlier on, which in advertising we refer to as WIFM, which is what's in it, what's in it for me.
Yeah.
Right. At the end of the day, somebody, the exchange that is taking place, it has to benefit me. Right. So, sorry, I have to feel that I'm getting some sort of benefit from it. So starts off by knowing your customer. You ask another question while I cough.
Now, when you are pulling together a sales team, so you are highly motivated to sell trust, to build that trust relationship and to work on that pipeline with your customer. Now, when you're pulling your sales team together, what are you looking for? What are those characteristics that you're looking for that you know this person is a winner?
Positive energy and patience.
And patience.
Patience, yes. Patience and perseverance go together, but you have to have a certain level of patience. And the reason is, if I'm pestering you, Rochelle, and I'm impatient, you're going to pick up on that. And that shows up as negative energy.
Yes.
Right? You don't want to have negative energy in your space. You want to have positive energy. If I'm patient, then you can feel like you're not being pressured. You feel quite comfortable, quite relaxed. Maybe you might even be happy to hear from me. Even as I'm explaining this, I'm deliberately pausing. I'm using some spaces in between when I'm talking. I might even lower my voice, so it's a bit more engaging.
And you see me, I'll put my hand underneath my chin, like
exactly.
Zach.
Right? As opposed to if I'm in your face like this, I'm telling you that what you have to do to sell is have a lot of energy and be out there, and I'm talking fast, and you have to know your customer. And negative energy, right? You're connecting with somebody, right? And you have to have a certain level of what I'd refer to as emotional intelligence. Thanks, Chadwick. Thanks, Craig. You have to have a certain level of emotional intelligence to be able to connect with people. Now, what do we mean when we talk about emotional intelligence? Quick story, back in the days, when you were a little kid, people would kind of judge and assess how likely you are to be based on your IQ, your intelligence quotient, right? So you're very good at maths or very good at problem solving, you're quick to do things. And I said, boy, Rochelle is a bright picnic. No, man, she must succeed. She's going to do well in life, right? But very often what you found is that those that were bright picnics in school didn't necessarily do well in life. And so a university did a study to try and understand what was that key differentiator that really determined success. They did some tests with some kids. They followed up 20 years later, tested them again. And they came away with two very key insights, which I'll share with you now. One is your IQ is not a determinant of success.
Yes.
What is a determinant of success is your ability to defer gratification, which is also another way of talking about patience. It's emotional control. It's being able to control your emotions. If you don't have control of your emotions, you want to make the sale right away, you're worried about paying your bills, you want to get this money from this person because it's all about the money, as Nevada said, and it's very nervous, anxious energy. Me as a recipient, I'm not comfortable with that. Because you're breaking down the trust factor, right? In my mind, I'm interpreting you and I'm saying this person is not looking out for my best interest. This person just wants to make a sale. So that's a big turn off for me, right? You almost want to reverse it to the point where I find you so interesting that I want to ask more questions because I like, what you're presenting and I can see the benefits to me. And you're doing it in such a subtle way that I don't feel pressured in any way, right? So you have to know your customer very, very well. It's about creating value for customers, right? If you can get that right, then you're way ahead of the game, right? You have to make Rochelle feel like I'm going to be better off with this thing than I was before, and the value is greater than the spend. Because you want to build that relationship. There's a saying that we use from time to time, which is don't show up and throw up. Don't show up and throw up, right? So guy coming to check Rochelle now on a date, picking you up to go to like a movies and dinner, pick you up, sit down at dinner, and the first thing he does is start telling you about how all the things that he has done in his life and what degrees he had and what school he went to and how he was a big footballer in his day and when he played Manning Cup finals and he was very popular in school and right now he's considering buying a Porsche because last year he made some extra money. That's called showing up and throwing up, right? You're going to be very turned off about that. As opposed to, I asked Rochelle to go on a date with me. We go to dinner, and the first thing that I asked Rochelle is, how was your day? So tell me how your day was.
Well, no, that you asked me that question, the day was good. It was a good day.
Excellent.
Yeah, so immediately I start feeling more relaxed, and I'm like, let's talk.
Right. So tell me something that surprised you today that you didn't expect.
Oh, well, actually, I went to do a mani-pedi today, and I had the most amazing, I have a big up face place today. I called 30 minutes before to ask if they had an appointment. They squeezed me in, and the service was exemplary. And it was a rainy day, and it was just a sunshine in the day. You see, I don't have my business to you because you're going to relax me.
Exactly. That's exactly the point. So you feel comfortable enough to share with me some information about you and about your day and what you did. So now you're locked in, right? We have an opportunity to engage in a conversation with you. The feeling on your side is this person cares about me. He's interested in me, right? As opposed to all I want to do is talk about myself, right? For those that are a little bit more biblical, Proverbs chapter 18, verse 13 says, if one gives an answer before he hears, it is his folly and shame. you have to listen first.
Yes.
Right? Active listening, not just like, okay, cool, yeah, man. So Manny Petty, yeah, that was good. I might ask you another color. I might say, what color did you get on your nails? What color did you get?
Pink.
Pink.
Breast
Let me
cancer
see.
awareness month.
Let's see. Okay. And why did you get pink?
Breast cancer awareness month.
Wow, that's good. So that shows that you're, really conscious and thinking about others and you want to represent for them.
So immediately you're getting to know things about me.
Exactly. Simple follow-up question. Right? Simple. Like, it can't get any simpler than that. I'll just ask you how you are, or what anything interesting in the day, and we'll go on to the color of your nails and what it means to you. If I wanted to know, I'm not going to take up the whole time, but I could take it further and I could ask you if there's anybody close to you that has ever suffered from breast cancer and tell me what that felt like. And we could go further and further. But by now, you're now engaged and we're having a conversation. It's not a one-way monologue where I'm just trying to tell you about something. Right? So sales is really an outcome of a conversation. Right? It's not a goal. It's really a function of doing a number of things. Yeah. You do a number of things that then leads to a good, solid relationship. And then through the building of trust and that relationship, as Stacia says, relationship building is key, then I can engage and I can find out what is it that you need. Right? And then if it's something that I have that's of value, then we can do an exchange. You give me some money and I give you that thing. And we've done an exchange. I don't want to talk about it as a sale. Yeah. Oh yes, you do have some hardcore salespeople that just call to sell insurance and they just keep calling until you just can't bother anymore. I just say, sure, just fill out the forms, I'll sign it out. But that's not a good way to build a long-lasting relationship, right? So, whenever I look at the right talent, right qualities for somebody who is good at sales, is somebody who is a good listener. Not a good talker. You have plenty of good talkers out there.
Yeah.
Right? But you have to be a good listener, active listener. If I'm engaged in a discussion with somebody and I'm trying to, raise capital for a deal, I have to listen to them. I have to listen to what are they interested in? Are they interested in, current yield, or are they interested in long-term security? Are they interested in trying to be involved in a business that they like? If I'm not listening to those things, then how can I convince them to give me money? You have to be an active listener. So I'll pause there to listen to you some.
So I have a question. We a lot of sales, a lot of advertising is happening through digital channels now and through social media. And a lot of our small businesses have been using platforms such as Instagram and Facebook to advertise their products, and they will say, DM me. So how do you foster that relationship and build that relationship through a DM? After the DM, what are you supposed to be doing? Because I noticed that some small businesses just really want that DM or the WhatsApp, but there's no conversation. And there are a lot of people who really just don't want to talk to you anyway. They'd rather WhatsApp. How do you build a relationship over WhatsApp?
Right. So it is possible, right? And one of the things you have to recognize is time is important, right? You have to value and respect people's time. So I'll give you an actual true story, right? I was on social media, saw something pop up about mesh Wi-Fi for your home or business, right? So I watched this little video, a company called Wi-Fi UK, big up to Wi-Fi UK. And it was a guy at a garage showing how they had Wi-Fi access at the garage, all the way from the front gate to where they were working on the cars. So I thought this thing was interesting. At the bottom, it had a link and it said, click here for more info or DM me for more info. So I clicked on it and I said, hey, what's your pricing like? They responded right away. The response was very interesting. Hey, Mr. Harding, thank you very much for your message. We really appreciate it. Our pricing depends on the situation. But what we'd love to do is, first of all, have you do a speed test where you are so we could understand what your bandwidth is like. Please use this link and simply click and then take a picture of the speed test and then send it back to us.
Okay.
Like, wow, this is pretty cool, because I didn't really feel like calling anybody and talking to them and having them ask me a bag of questions. I was on the go, I was doing stuff. So I clicked the link, did the speed test, screenshot it, sent them the picture. And they said, okay, this is a good start. We'd like to come and schedule to do an actual inspection at the house. And then when we're there, what we'll do is we can install it. And if you like it, we'll explain to you what the costing is. And then you can just, let us know, and you can pay for it right there. You can just do a wire transfer. So again, I was like, that's a little bit weird. You're going to come to my house, install Wi-Fi, show me, and if I like it, then I pay for it. But by now, I'm intrigued, because I'm like, this is good for me. What's in it for me? I'm going to see the product. I'm going to test drive it before I even have to pay. And the people scheduled the thing. They told me they were on their way. They'd be there in an hour. They told me they'd be there in about 5 minutes to listen out for them. They showed up super professional. They came in, did their bandwidth test, plugged in some devices. One is here now. I don't want to take it out. I might chip out my Wi-Fi, right? And installed it and showed me. The guy walked from my back fence to my front gate, and there was Wi-Fi everywhere. I just said, how much is that? And he said, well, because we had to use 4 little router boxes, it would come to about 60,000. But because we really appreciate the fact that you took the chance to go with us, we'll just include everything for 40. We won't charge any labor. And I just said, give me the account information. They gave me the Scotia account information, and I just added it as an account and paid them right there on the spot, and then right. So DMs can work if it is that you're prepared to follow up. It was part of a bit of a plan. It's not just like, yo, send me a DM, and then you send a DM, and then 3 days later, hi, I got your DM. Are you still interested in the product? No, that's not gonna work. That's circumventing the process. You want direct, quick, immediate access. So there's an example of how a DM can work.
Yes. And while you're here, we actually had a poll, and what the last question we asked was, do you prefer in-person or virtual sales meetings? And 67% said in-person and 33% said virtual. Now, you have done in-person, virtual, the gamut of sales meetings, selling different types of products. In this this whole COVID time, and with all the pivoting in COVID, I'd love some of your views on the in-person versus the virtual, and how we kind of bring the two together now for a successful sales pitch.
Okay, so excellent question. If you don't have the opportunity to do in person, then you have to work with what you have in front of you, right? One of the things that we have found, and at SSL, we were one of the first companies to start doing work from home 1 week before the government even suggested it. And we have found that it has worked better for us, right? It has really, really worked out well, because you're able to do things a lot faster, right? So you don't have to go, it's not really live radio, but you don't have to BS people. You don't have to the long story thing. You can kind of get to the point and people appreciate it, okay? Yes. So if it is that's what you have in front of you, value the time, right? I have Zoom calls back to back to back to back to back to back, literally, like I might have 10, 15 a day. Right, so I'm continuously watching, and I'm like, okay, it's 8:43, time is chipping. So yeah, get to the point right away. Make sure, again, you've done your research in advance, so that shows, okay, well, I know Rochelle, I know what her business is about, I know what she's doing now, I know she used to work at Flow, Lime, I know that she went to UA, I know she's an attorney, I know all of those things in advance. So when I'm talking to you, you already feel like I've done some prep work. Yeah. Right? I don't have to be asking you a bag of questions for you to tell me a whole history. I could just Google it. Right? Yeah. If I just type in Rochelle Cameron, Google it, I'll be able to read and learn enough, probably more than you'd be comfortable with me knowing. Yes. Right? So use the tools that are available, do the research, and get to the point. Get to the point quickly. Right? And if it is clear that it's not something that somebody's keen on right now, don't try and force it. Mm-hmm. Just say, hey, this is what we're focusing on right now. If you change your mind, or if it's something that you think would interest you, feel free to reach out and let us know.
And of course, I can't let you leave without answering Mubarak's question. What is a standard marketing budget as a percentage for a specific sales target or goal? And I know this is a question that people grapple with.
Right. Really good question. I would answer it like this. Standard by book definition coming from 20 years ago would be somewhere between 2 to 5% of revenue.
Okay.
Right? But don't be shackled, to borrow the term from a former prime minister. Don't be shackled by that, because it all depends. What you're really looking for is a return on the investment, right? And sometimes you might spend 20% of your current revenue, but that could double your revenue targets next year. So it may very well be worth it. So look at it more in terms of what is the value that I'm going to be potentially deriving from this spend. Second thing is, you don't always have to be focusing on spending money. Because honestly, gone are the days where big billboards and 30-second TV ads and full pages sell things. And I'm like the king of full page. I've probably done more full page ads in my time than anybody else. And I did have some good marketing budgets in my day at Red Stripe and elsewhere. And I did spend some money and got good results. But things have changed significantly. Yes. Right? So people make purchase decisions based on a variety of influences. Right? So consider those things. And sometimes it's not about the spend, but it's about the target.
Yes.
Right? So I'll give you an example. I bought a car for my wife in the middle of COVID. I wasn't in the market for buying a car at all. I honestly was not. She already had a truck. I have a car. But what happened is someone reached out to me, and I won't call the name of the car company. I don't want to bias anybody, right? But somebody reached out to me and said that they had an offer, and the way that they structured the offer, they had all the documents already prepared for me, and that the interest payments would be deferred, and I wouldn't have to pay any interest for the first couple of months, and that the process for onboarding would be very, very simple. And so I said, okay, cool. And when I tell you, Rochelle, they walked me through the process. And I ended up buying a car in the middle of COVID. Was like 1 month into COVID, right? But why did I do it? Because they were able to establish such a level of trust and understood what my needs were, that I literally also rewarded them for just being so understanding. And that's something you can't put a value on that. That's not a 2% of your revenue spend or 10% or 20%. So I'd focus less on the math of what's the right percentage of your budget to be spending, and I'd focus more on the impact. What are the things that you can do to have the right impact? How can you connect with a customer and find out exactly what their needs are and satisfy those needs? And if you can do that, you won't have to worry about the spend.
Wow. Zachary, you gave us quite a bit, and I particularly like that you keep going back to establishing that trust, understanding your customer needs, and then your reward is that I will spend some money with you because you took that time.
Right.
Getting the impact of the spend and the impact of the effort that you put into that sale. Zachary, if people, because I know people now are like, I'm going to need to follow Zachary Harding. Where can they find you?
Instagram is Zach Harding 27. I think. Twitter is Zach Harding. And then I currently serve as executive chairman of Delta Capital Partners. Stay tuned for some more information to come about Delta, and I'm also Group Chief Executive Officer at Stockton Securities Limited, so you can always find me at SSL.
Yeah, and if you want to see the other side of him, I think it's on a Friday evening. You can join him when he is DJ Zachary.
Yes, mixlr.com/FET Days with a Z -I Radio.
Thank you so much, Zachary. It has been a fantastic evening, and we're looking forward to you joining us again. So we just had Executive Chairman of Delta Capital, Zachary Harding. He's also CEO of Stocks and Securities. And Zachary Harding took us through building that winning sales organization. Excellent stuff. And we have some prizes. Let me just go back through because I missed a couple of people, and I have some people that join us every week. So the winner for our second question is actually Blondell Wilson Henry. Congratulations, Blondell. Please just drop your email in our comment section. I only had 5 prizes, but Empowerment Dr. Smith, who is a constant viewer, who answered every one of our questions, who is always engaged and sharing, we have to have a spot for Empowerment Dr. Smith. So Empowerment Dr. Smith, if you can also drop your information in the comment section, your email address, so that we can send information to you for next week's PSOJ seminar, Unlocking Success. This is a seminar that helps you and your organization move to the next level. Building in your processes, building in your agreements, ensuring that you have the right advisory board in place, building that board structure, putting yourself and your organization in position, because we have to be in position always for that next level. And if you're trying to figure out how do you sign up for this, please email us at psoj.org. You can also email us at sme@psoj.org to sign up for the seminar. If you wish to receive our weekly email, please email us at sme@psoj.org. But the best thing is we now have smallbusinessportal.com, and that is that one-stop shop. But it's not a shop, it's a mall. That one-stop mall on the internet for small business owners. Before we go though, Nevada, are you backstage? Because we can't leave without bringing Nevada back, just for a few words. Nevada, yes, you went to have a glass of wine. You're surprised that I call you back. Nevada, what evening? I was like, I can't leave without come back. Glass of red wine. Nevada, give me some final thoughts on tonight. What
really fantastic. And again, it's what we keep learning with all of these things, it's about actually creating structure around what you're trying to do and then executing. Because really that becomes the thing. Everything we just kind of like, we keep dropping out or follow up, etc. But what everybody keeps repeating is that plan, structure, and execute. Yes. Absolutely crucial. Set your targets, monitor, recap, and reset based on how well or not well you're doing. Be clear about your value proposition. What's the story that you're trying to sell? Both Zach and Beverly talked about the story and this whole idea of building trust, building that relationship that don't necessarily have to do with the product or service you're selling, but the interpersonal stuff that they discover. Is Sheldon your brother? Where do you get your nails done? Why did you
Why did I choose a pink color?
Exactly. These ways in which we can integrate, identify quality targets, research, prepare, have insights about your client business, create the hook, be ready. When you go to the meeting, have your elevator speech and the longer speech, because you don't know how much time you're going to have. On Zoom, be engaged and engaging. Understand the client decision-making process, right? How do you get from where you are to close? Stick around, be responsive, because there's always a new opportunity or a referral or some other thing that's possible. So keep the conversation alive and keep it going. Celebrate the wins. When you and your team actually get a big client and stuff, make sure, don't just drop it and keep going, but take a little time to celebrate, whether for yourself or if there's a team of people, right? Remember, landing a sale is a huge process. And something should be celebrated. And although nobody talked about this, the whole idea of enabling technologies could also be critical. Customer relationship management software, which helps you keep track of conversations. Who did I talk to last? What's the issue? What's open? And also that allows multiple people to be able to work with the same client. Yeah. But the big thing is building the relationship. Don't be afraid. And as Zachary said, there's a spectrum, right? The aggressive salesperson, the more subtle salesperson, and what's the balance and how does the potential client respond to that? But really, really fantastic show. I think Craig had made a point. It was 3 different deliveries, 3 different perspectives that also creates different modes of learning and looking and seeing, well, what does sales mean and how do sales work?
And how does it work? And you know, for our viewers, just to remind you, at the end of the day, your best salespeople are your customers. Absolutely. When you are able to land with your customer, follow up with your customer, deliver what you said you would. That is the customer that as soon as they hear somebody has a need, they are running that person down because they're like, you need to meet this person. That's
and don't be afraid to ask for the referral. Exactly. Right as somebody's telling you and praising you. Boy, Rochelle, you did an amazing job, blah, blah, blah. That's when you have them. You know anybody else who could need a service? You know anybody else I could be helpful to? I would love a referral. I would love a recommendation. You know, let it be known.
Let it be
Especially
known.
after thanking you.
Yeah, you know, sometimes we want and we don't want nobody. We don't want to ask. We have to ask.
Yes.
So if there's nothing else as a small business that you do, if you are always that person that you're like, me don't really want to push the people and ask for the referral, me don't want to call and bother them. If ever there was a pivot, the pivot is you've got to move your sales pivot. Remember, it's about building that trust, that trust. And as Zachary said, at the end, it's a conversation that usually lands that product. Your responsiveness, how prepared you are. Remember, this is your business, you know, you have to go at your business hard. And your business, you're always seeing it at the next level. So we can't just keep it panka down here. Next level we're talking about. So smallbusinessportal.com, please visit. All of this information is available there. There's information on financing. There's information on registering and formalizing your business. As you think of it, it is on smallbusinessportal.com. We encourage you to share this episode with your friends, comment. And if you have not watched our previous episodes, because we're at episode 27, please take some time with your notebook and your paper, because every episode is a learning session. We're here for you because we're going to emerge on the other side of COVID stronger and better business people. So we're going to see you again next week for episode 28 of COVIDCASTJA.
One last thing, Rochelle, just before we take off as well. When you guys get a chance to look at smallbusinessportal.com, remember for us is also an evolving product and website. So we want to hear from you what's working for you, what makes it difficult, etc. We want it to be active. What other things would you need as a small business to be able to see to make the site more useful? So engage with the site, look for things. If something is hard to do, you can just shoot us an email and say, boy, I was trying to figure this out, it was hard. Exactly. How do I find it? As Rochelle said, also all of the old COVIDcast episodes are there, so you can have training sessions right there. All the memos that we do are available there. And remember, the memos again, they are long form, like you reading something for a class. So again, there are those of us who learn by visual, watching. There are those of us who learn by reading. There are those of us who learn by graphics. And what we're trying to do at the PSOJ is give you the information in multiple ways so that you find your way to learning. Do not let it happen that we come to the end of COVID and you're not a better business person than you were at the beginning, because a lot of training is out there, including from us, and make sure you get better and better at what you're doing. So thanks again for joining us.
Yes, so see you again next week, 7:30 p.m. right here for COVIDCASTJA. What good?
So you have a great idea to start a business, but you don't know where to start. We completely understand. You have a lot of questions and almost no answers. Smallbusinessportal.com is here to help. At smallbusinessportal.com, you gain access to information on loans, grants, and investment opportunities from verified financial institutions. Guess what you also get? Useful business tips, access to training. All these services combine to make your business idea into a reality. Start your journey today at smallbusinessportal.com.